God, you are. Oh, you are. You are, you are. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. God, you are my peace. Peace is what you are. God, you are my love. Love is what you are. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. My joy, my peace, my love. My joy, my peace, my love. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. Yeah. God, you are my peace. Oh, peace is what you are. God, you are my love. Oh, love is what you are. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. My joy, my peace, my love. My joy, my peace, my love. God, you are my strength. Strength is what you are. God, you are my help. Oh, help is what you are. And God, you are my life. And life is what you are. God, you are my joy. And joy is what you are. You are my joy, my peace, my love. 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 God, you are my joy. Oh, yeah, yeah. Na, 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 na. God, you are. Oh, you are. You are, you are. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. God, you are my peace. Peace is what you are. God, you are my love. Love is what you are. you are. My joy, my peace, my love. My joy, my peace, my love. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. Yeah. God, you are my peace. Oh, peace is what you are. God, you are my love. Oh, love is what you are. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. My joy, my peace, my love. My joy, my peace, my love. God, you are my strength. Strength is what you are. God, you are my help. Oh, help is what you are. And God, you are my life. And life is what you are. God, you are my joy. And joy is what you are. You are my joy, my peace, my love. 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 God, you are my joy. Oh, yeah, yeah. Na, 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 na. God, you are. Oh, you are. You are, you are. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. God, you are my peace. Peace is what you are. God, you are my love. Love is what you are. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. My joy, my peace, my love. My joy, my peace, my love. you are. My joy, my peace, my love. My joy, my peace, my love. God, you are my strength. Strength is what you are. God, you are my help. Oh, help is what you are. And God, you are my life. And life is what you are. God, you are my joy. And joy is what you are. You are my joy, my peace, my love. 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 God, you are my joy. Oh, yeah, yeah. Na, 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 na. God, you are. Oh, you are. You are, you are. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. God, you are my peace. Peace is what you are. God, you are my love. Love is what you are. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. My joy, my peace, my love. My joy, my peace, my love. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. Yeah. God, you are my peace. Oh, peace is what you are. God, you are my love. Oh, love is what you are. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. My joy, my peace, my love. My joy, my peace, my love. God, you are my strength. Strength is what you are. God, you are my help. Oh, help is what you are. And God, you are. Oh, you are. You are, you are. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. God, you are my peace. Peace is what you are. God, you are my love. Love is what you are. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. My joy, my peace, my love. My joy, my peace, my love. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. Yeah. God, you are my peace. Oh, peace is what you are. God, you are my love. Oh, love is what you are. God, you are my joy. Joy is what you are. My joy, my peace, my love. My joy, my peace, my love.
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. It is so very good to be here again with you all for the weekend service as we gather together to celebrate the magnificence and significance of the power and presence of God operating in, through, and as us. Now, I'm inviting you all this morning. We're going to take a moment because so much has happened this week, and particularly for us as New Yorkers. We've experienced it close up, but it's happening all around the country and all around the world. We are met yet again at this intersection of tragedy, cruelty, injustice, inhumanity, neglect. And of course, our hearts and our minds are with the beautiful soul, Jordan Neely. Our hearts and our minds are with Jordan's family. Our hearts and minds are with those that loved him, knew him, and are now in mourning. We know that God is strength. God is peace. God is love. And we know that that strength and that love and that peace that God is with them now, and we will be with them in the days ahead and in the days to come. But even as we are dealing with that tragedy, just yesterday there was another mass shooting in Texas. I believe it's 8 people have lost their lives. This is now the 199th mass shooting, 4 or more people dead here in the United States. Today is only the 127th day of the year. And so we take a moment to not turn our eyes away, to not bury our heads in the sand, to not ignorantly try to think positive thoughts and think happy thoughts and think it will all just go away. But we bring the focus of our attention on it, knowing that every act of fear, every act of evil is a call for love, knowing that there is something for each of us to do, unique to each and every one of us. And as we take this moment to pause and reflect, I invite you to close your eyes and hear the words of this poem, I Am There, by James Dillard Freeman. Do you need me? I am there. You cannot see me, yet I am the light you see by. You cannot hear me, yet I speak through your voice. You cannot feel me, yet I am the power at work in your hands. I am at work, though you do not understand my ways. I am at work, though you do not recognize my works. I am not strange visions. I am not mysteries. Only in absolute stillness beyond self can you know me as I am, and then but as a feeling and a faith. Yet I am there. Yet I hear. Yet I answer. When you need me, I am there. Even if you deny me, I am there. Even when you feel most alone, I am there. Even in your fears, I am there. Even in your pain, I am there. I am there when you pray and when you do not pray. I am in you, and you are in me. Only in your mind can you feel separate from me, for only in your mind are the mists of yours and mine. Yet only with your mind can you know me and experience me. Empty your heart of empty fears. When you get yourself out of the way, I am there. You can of yourself do nothing, but I can do all, and I am in all. Though you may not see the good, good is there, for I am there. I am there because I have to be, because I am. Only in me does the world have meaning. Only out of me does the world take form. Only because of me does the world go forward. I am the law on which the movement of the stars and the growth of living cells are founded. I am the love that is the law's fulfilling. I am assurance. I am peace. I am oneness. I am the law that you can live by. I am the love that you can cling to. I am your assurance. I am your peace. I am one with you. I am. Though you fail to find me, I do not fail you. Though your faith in me is unsure, my faith in you never wavers, because I know you, because I love you. Beloved, I am there. And from this place of awareness, we take a breath in and we breathe out. And we breathe in and we breathe out. There is only one mind, only one power, only one presence. There is one life. That life is God. That life is our life now. It is good. It is perfect. It is present always. It is there. It is here. It is there. We recognize that this power, this presence that is God, neither comes nor goes, but is always right here, right now. And we turn our hearts and minds in recognition of the presence within us and all around us. And as we recognize the presence, we are recognizing ourselves. For we are one with God and one of God. We are one with this power, this presence, this love. We are one with the good. We live, move, and have our being in it, and it lives, moves, and has its expression through us. So from this place of awareness, we say yes to this good. From this place of awareness, we allow this good. From this place of awareness, we accept this good. From this place of awareness, we lean into a greater awareness and understanding of this good. From this place of awareness, we say this good is me. From this place of awareness, we say this good is mine. From this place of awareness, we say this good is you. From this place of awareness, we say this good is yours. From this place of awareness, we say this good is ours. From this place of awareness, we say this goodness is more than enough. From this place of awareness, we say this goodness heals. From this place of awareness, we say this goodness frees. From this place of awareness, we say this goodness unbinds our mind. From this place of awareness, we accept the good and we let it be. I am so grateful for each and every soul that is gathered here in this moment, gathered together in consciousness, co-creating this experience we call the weekend service. And we are clear that we will leave here differently than when we came in. We are clear that we will Be enlightened and enlivened. We are clear that something will be said or done that will support us in continuing to thrive and remembering the truth of who and whose we are, celebrating our magnificence and our significance. So from this place of awareness, I release this prayer confidently. I release this prayer with assurance. I release this prayer knowing that it is heard, met, received, and already being responded to at every level of life, across every plane and every dimension of life, simultaneously. It is done. It is done. It is done. And from that awareness of knowing that is done, we amplify it by simply saying, Amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
So it is.
And so it is. Well, hello again. Happy Sunday. It is so wonderful to be here with all of you as we gather together in consciousness, knowing that we are the light of the world, knowing that there is something powerful within us that is seeking to express itself, and knowing that we get to deepen our understanding of that so that we can deepen and widen our expression of that. If you are a first-time guest, we welcome you. We're happy that you're here. We're happy that you chose to be here today, and we're confident that something will be done, something will be said, whether it's in the music, the meditation, the message, whatever it may be, that will support you in living an empowered life, that will support you in living an empowered week and absolutely thriving on purpose, because that is what we were all designed to do, and we're happy to be a space and a place that is here to remind you of that very thing, to celebrate that thing, encourage you to be that thing and live that thing, live it out loud and live it proudly. And so as a first-time guest, you see here on the screen, we would love to stay in touch with you. This is how you access your digital connection card. It's very easy to do. Just pull out your phone and text welcome to 347-472-1078. Just the word welcome. No additional messages are needed. Don't include your contact information with that text. But when you text welcome, you receive a reply back with a link. That link takes you to the digital connection card, and there's just a few fields to complete. The most important field is your email address, because that is then how you will be added to our mailing list. Once you've entered the information and submitted the information, you receive another text that says you're all set. And indeed you are. You'll be on our mailing list. You'll receive our weekly email that goes out on Friday, and any other correspondence related to CSC that is necessary to keep you abreast of what's going on in the life and work of Celebration Spiritual Center. But again, more importantly, we're happy that you're here. Welcome. Get comfortable and receive. Right, receive what has been designed for you, right, in consciousness, right, not in the sense of us designing it, but in the sense that this is a co-creative moment. If you're here, there's something within your spirit that asks for what's happening in, through, and as this service, and that is exciting to me. Now, we, as I shared, we have the weekly email that goes out on Fridays, and much of the information that you'll get in the email you're going to want to have quick access to. And so we'll cover some of those things in the news and updates, and then we can move forward into the meditation, the music, and the message. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Now, of course, as we just called the name of Jordan Neely, we know that mental health is at the center of that tragedy. And we also recognize that when we think about mental health, it doesn't have to be an extreme, right? Sometimes we think we're fine because we may not be in a crisis to the level that was experienced on that subway. But we recognize that all of us need to be mindful of the way in which stress impacts our life. And if you are Black and brown, right? If you are a person of color, it's known, it's now documented, it is researched, right? That there are, in addition to the regular stresses of life that every human goes through, there are additional stressors. And we have to be mindful of how that impacts our lives, how that impacts our minds, how that impacts our health. And so we, as a spiritual center, have always been very, very clear and very adamant about the support of mental health. We believe that you have a spiritual practice and practices and beliefs, and these teachings align very well with mental health practices, right? And it's important that you have a therapist. It's important that you utilize those things, even if that means that you're taking medication. All of that is wonderful and fine under advisement. It is not an either or, like, oh, I'm going to use these spiritual tools and that's enough. It's actually a holistic approach, a both and approach. And of course, we also want to end the stigma, right? Even the stigma. PY and I have both talked about our experiences. We both have our own therapists, right? We both do that work and honor our mental health in that way, and we encourage you to do the same. It is a wonderful thing. It is a necessary thing, and we'll continue to talk more this month as it relates to mental health awareness. But if you did not know that it's Mental Health Awareness Month, take this month of May to think about how you can support your mental health, how you can support yourself in thriving, because it is critically important, particularly in the days and times that we're living in now. It is the month of May, and so that means that at the end of the month we have a holiday weekend, and as always, CSC will be closed in honor of the holiday weekend. So the last Sunday of this month, which I believe is the 28th, we will not be streaming live. We encourage you to enjoy your holiday weekend in whichever way you choose to. And of course, we honor those for that weekend that have died in service, that have given their lives in military service in support of our country. Every Wednesday morning, we gather together for the Momentum Prayer Call, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We encourage you to join us because it is a wonderful way to continue the momentum that we create on Sunday. It's also a wonderful way to start your day, to begin your day in the consciousness of prayer. As I always say, God is paying attention to what you're paying attention to. And so this is a way to be intentional. I'm paying attention to words of truth. I'm paying attention to affirmative truth. I am paying attention to that which is eternal. And we recognize that where your mind is, that's where your day will be. And so we have an opportunity to do that intentionally, gathering together in prayer. We share a reading, and then we go about our day. If that time doesn't work for you and you're not able to be there live, then you can absolutely use the playback number and listen to the recorded prayer. The most recent prayer is always available. Every prayer is recorded, and so you can call that number 24/7, enter the access code, and wait, and the most recent prayer will play. If you have a prayer request, you can send that prayer request to Prayer Champions at celebrationsc.org. That prayer request is received by our prayer champions, as well as Pastor Yolanda and myself, and we will continue to know the truth with and for you. We know that many times you may want to send a prayer request on behalf of someone. There may be someone in your life that's moving through a challenge or moving through an experience, and you want to surround them in prayer as you also surround them in prayer. And you may be submitting that for yourself. It's all good, but know that we will hold the highest watch with and for you or for your loved one. And when your prayer is answered, feel free to send us an email again to the same email address and let us know how your prayer is being answered. Let us know how prayer is working in, through, and as your life, and in, through, and as the life of your loved ones. Please, we encourage you to invite your friends to the live stream, anyone that you think may be interested in what it is that we're doing here at CSC. We are looking for those that are looking for us. This is a co-creative experience in consciousness, and we know that there is an asking that's happening in life, and CSC is a response to the asking of some. And so you can always send a previous sermon or service or meditation or song to someone that you think it may resonate with, and then invite them to join us live for the weekend service any Sunday. Each month, we are highlighting a series of the month. As we are in our 10th year, we have a deep, deep catalog. There's so many powerful sermon series, and you don't always get a time to revisit them all. And so this month we're going back to 2018. I believe this series was March of 2018, God Power. And there's some powerful sermons in there. I think the series starts with Stop Begging God. Another sermon in that series is Healing Your God Trauma. And it's really focused in on understanding and embracing one of the pillars of New Thought, that there is only God. There is no other power. And the belief in another power is what causes a lot of the issues and problems we see in the world, and also issues and problems we see in our own lives. I encourage you to check that out. You can go to directly to our YouTube channel, and that playlist for that sermon series is highlighted. Again, it's a wonderful series. If you can't watch the whole series again, those two, Stop Begging God and Healing Your God Trauma, very powerful sermons. So that concludes our news and updates for today, which means we have an opportunity to move into the stillness, to go within with the meditation experience led by Pastor Yolanda.
Yes, it is time for meditation. We love to teach here. We love to expose everyone to texts they may have never read or haven't done a deep dive into. But we also like to provide an opportunity for you to do more than just read and memorize. We have an opportunity for you to experience God of your understanding, the power within you. And so we take time every Sunday to meditate, to let go of the ideas and the burden that it sometimes feels during the week, to bring our focus of attention back to the center, to allow ourselves to do more than worry about the future or be sad about the past. We allow ourselves to connect, to breathe, and to feel. This month, we are going to be using the affirmative thought that has been sitting with me for several weeks now, given how heavy life seems for us, given all the things that are happening that can take our focus of attention, given even the fact that we may be experiencing pain in our body, whatever body that is, our physical body, our emotional body, our financial body, whatever that may be. There's something that we need to remember. We don't deny the body. We don't deny the experiences that we're having in the body. But we remember something that is anchoring us within all of that. That I am spirit and I am free. I am spirit. That way we honor our divinity. We acknowledge it, our spiritual nature, that we have this spirit and we live in wisdom and in health of all kinds. And based on that spiritual nature, we are free. It doesn't matter what seems to bind us or weigh heavy on us, metaphorically or physically. We are spirit and we are free. So this month we will be using that idea, this affirmative thought, to take it deeper, to honor our divinity, and to feel our freedom as it flows on the breath, as it moves through the body. We allow the body to be, but we know what is housed in the body is spirit. And that freedom, let's experience that now. So, go ahead and look around the room. Notice where you are. Seated upright comfortably in a chair, on your bed, on your sofa, but seated upright. Allowing the ears to align over the shoulders, shoulders over hips. And feeling that nice long line of energy as the vertebrae stack nice and easy as they were designed to do on top of each other. We plant the palms on the tops of the thighs. And we remember that we are spirit and we are free as we allow the eyelids to gently close. And that subtle movement of this body begins the inward journey and the inward experience of these words. I am spirit and I am free. Let's notice the breath right where it is. That the energy of spirit flows on the breath. Many times when we are struggling, when we are in fear, doubt, and worry, we hold the breath and we prevent the energy and the life force from moving. We signal the body that something's wrong, but today we're going to relax the body and allow the spirit that is within us and the freedom that is ours to be felt right here and right now. Take a few more rounds to just notice that I am spirit and I am free. What does that feel like to you? To give yourself permission to honor your divinity and to feel it in your body. Each breath takes us deeper. Each breath fills us more completely. Each breath makes the cells more free to move and to be. Beautiful, everyone. Now let's take conscious control of the breath, for it is ours to do so. We've been endowed with a body that responds to our thoughts, responds to our dictation, responds to our illumination. For we are spirit and we are free. Dropping our focus of attention deep into the belly. Dropping our breath deep into the belly. Together, let's inhale and expand the low belly for a count of 4. Inhale and expand. Hold it there. Count of 4. And whatever you've been carrying that would prevent you from feeling yourself as the divine spirit that you are, open the mouth, relax the jaw, and sigh it out. Again, dropping that breath deep into the low belly, expanding for a count of 4. Hold it there. And without collapsing, exhale the breath, sigh it out, and draw the navel towards the spine, emptying the low belly and making more room for breath. In through the low belly now, allowing the breath to rise up through the rib cage, feeling the breath in the front and the sides and the back of the body. Hold it there. And relax the jaw, release whatever you've been carrying that would prevent you from feeling alive and feeling free. And let's trace that path in through the low belly, but finding more room, more places for breath. On the sides and the front and the back. Hold it there. And sigh it out. Spirit is here, flowing on the breath, in through the low belly, up through the rib cage, and now making its way to that altar, to the divine, to that altar to love, our heart, holding it when it reaches the top. And again, open the mouth, relax the jaw, and release. Sigh it out. I love that quiet that comes at the end of the release. I love the freedom that is felt at the end of the release, creating space for the return of breath in through the low belly, up through the rib cage, and up to the heart. Holding it there, we feel it across the chest and across the back. And we release the breath, sigh it out. Let's take another deep breath because it feels good to breathe. And let's make this the most complete, full, connected breath that we've ever felt. As we inhale all the way in and up. And this time, when we reach the top, and when you're ready, exhale through the nose for a count of 6. We slow the breath down so that we can feel. We slow the breath down so that we can affirm. We slow the breath down so that we can feel the comfort of knowing that I am spirit and I am free. Let's practice that deep inhale and exhale for a few rounds now. We are spirit and we are free. Our mind is a vessel for the intelligence that created all things. Our body is a vessel for the victorious expression of this life force, and we are free to experience it all. Beautiful everyone. This will be our form of breath work, in and out through the nose, for the remainder of our meditative time. Let's experience the peace and the freedom as we scan our bodies and release whatever is holding us back from knowing that we are spirit and we are free. Send your focus of attention into the feet. Notice if there's any tension in the toes, in the soles of the feet, in the heels. Maybe a gentle movement to acknowledge and sending the breath there to release the feet. As the feet are planted, we allow the energy to flow up through the soles of the feet, across the ankles now. Relax the ankles. I am spirit and I am free. I am free to experience the full nature and expression of God in, through, and as me. I'm free to experience the ultimate unconditional love moving in, through, and as me. As that energy flows across the shins and the calves, we honor it. We relax the shins and the calves. Energy flows across the knees now. They are bent and they are flexible. Relax the knees. Energy flows across the thighs and the hamstrings and the glutes. We feel it now. If there's any tension there, we send our knowingness of spirit. We send all of that expression of freedom as we relax the thighs, the glutes, and the hamstrings. We notice the lightness in our lower body, and we want to experience that lightness within the rest of our body. Energy gathered at the base of our spine is now available to rise. As we flow and as we breathe and as we remember that we are spirit and we are free. Allow the energy to flow in and up. Exhale and allow. In and up. Exhale and allow. Each round of breath freeing us a little more. Exhale and allow. As it rises in and up, we make room by exhaling and allowing. And up, and up, and out the crown of our head, gathered above us, connecting us all, reminding us all. As we say these words, this affirmative thought to ourselves, I am spirit and I am free. Allow that knowing to flow back down through the crown, activating, balancing the third eye, softening the forehead, flowing down the throat across the shoulders. Maybe you feel as if there are loving hands relaxing the shoulders a little more. Energy flows down the arms, out the fingertips, and we notice ourselves from the inside as completely open and available. Scan your body one last time as we prepare for our silent time. Turn the palms up if you'd like to receive more. Turn the palms down to ground. But either way, remember that I am spirit and I am free. I allow this knowingness to be expressed completely. I will monitor the time. You take the inward journey of freedom, allowing the spirit to completely occupy these bodies, illuminate and enliven these bodies. I am spirit and I am free. Now. With our eyes still closed, we honor the time and the connection that we felt with our eyes still closed. We release whatever is untrue about us and unworthy in our thinking. And we allow this new space to be occupied with the truth that we are spirit and we are free. Free to create anew. Free to embody ourselves more completely. Free to allow the truth to guide our every step. With our eyes closed, we enjoy this internal time. And we bring back more spirit so that we can feel more alive in these bodies. Let's start the return. If the palms are turned up, turn them down now. And as we make that soft and easy contact with the tops of our thighs, we begin the gentle waking, coming back into the body, but we come back more fully alive. Inhale, draw the shoulders up by the ears. Exhale as we release the shoulders back and down. Inhale up. Exhale, releasing the breath and the shoulders back and down. Last time. Inhale up. And exhale, releasing the shoulders back and down. Pausing to empty the belly of the breath. Bringing palms together at heart center. Bowing chin towards fingertips. Pausing to notice the opening in the spine. Pausing to honor the time that you've given yourself to remember that I am spirit and I am free. Slowly allow the eyelids to open. Soft gaze, no strain on the eyes. Inhale, raise the chin. Raise the gaze. Release the breath. Namaste.
Yes, yes, yes. Namaste. Thank you, PY.
You're welcome.
We are definitely looking forward to continuing to go deeper with the affirmative thought. I encourage you to come back to this meditation at any time. Use it throughout the week. Bring your heart and mind to this affirmation and this affirmative thought, and use it throughout the week. It is necessary. It is very, very necessary. Well, it is the month of May. It is the first Sunday in May. And of course, if it's a new month, that means we have a new message series. And our series this month is titled Game Changers. Game changers are those spiritual facts, those ideas that we encounter that absolutely change the game for us. That when we just come in contact with the idea, nothing can ever be the same. But not just coming in contact with it, not just listening to it, not just hearing it, but when we actually embrace it and make it the truth of our life, it's a game changer. And again, nothing is the same after that moment, after that day. Even if we tried to retreat back to the old paradigm or the old thought or the old belief, we just can't, because the game has been changed. So we're going to take this month to look at some game changers and talk about some game changers. I'm also going to give you some assignments with each sermon to really support you in leaning into the game changers that we'll share this month. And so I thought it was fitting that for the music today, we start with a specific song as we share this video of Maya Angelou talking about her game changer. And I'll leave it there. We'll hear from Maya Angelou and Oprah Winfrey, and then we will hear from Soul 21. And I'll meet you on the other side with today's message, Your God is Too Small.
You say words are things and that they're so powerful. So what words do you turn to for comfort?
Love. And again, see, I think love is that condition in the human spirit so profound that it allows us to forgive.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be the energy which keeps the stars in the firmament.
Yes.
I'm not sure. It may be the energy which keeps the blood running smoothly through our veins. I'm not sure. But it's something beyond the explanation. It can be used for anything you can explain, any good thing you can explain.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you go for solace, for comfort? Are there books that you read, or when Maya Angelou needs comforting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you use?
I'm a student of Unity, and there's a book called
The
Lessons
Unity
in
Church?
Unity Church.
Mm-hmm.
Maya first discovered the Unity Church in her 20s after her voice coach and mentor, Fred Wilkerson, invited her to a service there. Founded in 1889, Unity is a Christian movement that emphasizes affirmative prayer and education as a path to spirituality.
I took a course in Unity about 2 years ago, online. Not to become a member, a minister, but just to understand more deeply. There's a book called Lessons in Truth.
Wow.
And in the book, there's a line which is, God loves me. And when I came to read it to my then mentor, Frederick Wilkerson, the late Frederick Wilkerson, I read, God loves me. And he said, read it again. I said, God loves me. He said, read it again. Read it again. And finally, I said, God loves me. It still humbles me that this force, which made leaves and fleas and stars and rivers and you, loves me. Me, Maya Angelou. It's amazing. I can do anything and do it well. Any good thing, I can do it. That's why I'm who I am. Yes, because God loves me and I'm amazed at it and grateful for it.
She said, I'm amazed. I'm amazed. I'm amazed. Hear these words today. You dance over me while I am unaware. You sing all around, but I never hear the sound. Lord, I'm amazed by you. Lord, I'm amazed by you. Lord, I'm amazed by Think about all the how. We didn't have to do anything for the sun to shine. We didn't have to do anything to have this oxygen we breathe. That's love. The fact that we can stand and not fall apart, flying all around. Hey, that's love. Our earth keeps spinning around, spinning around, and spinning around, and spinning around. That's love. Oh, if you can see today, that's love. If you can breathe today, that's love. You didn't start your heart, you can't stop your heart is beating, that's love. Oh, think about your life. Yeah. Oh, so many hows. So many hows. So many ways, so many ways. Let me count the ways. You love me, you love me, you love me, you love me. And I didn't have to do anything just because I am what I'm loved. Just because you are your love. Just because you are your love. So many ways, so many ways, so many times. It's an unfailing love. It's an unfailing love. You can always depend on the sun. You can always.
Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. I'm amazed. I'm amazed. I'm amazed how you love me, how you love me. The lyrics of that song are so powerful. The first time I ever heard that song, and it inspired me to write that arrangement. And it is wonderful and powerful and beautiful, that connection between the awareness, that game-changing awareness that Maya Angelou had. Understanding that God, the all that is, this thing, put the stars in place and holds the stars in place, loves us, always loved us, continues to love us. We are amazed, we are amazed, we are amazed. Well, hello, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time this message, this stream finds you. It is good. I'm excited about this month, although it's a shorter month. I'm excited about this month and this series because I think we have some good things to share. So again, we're dealing with this powerful series of game changers. And what are game changers? Those things that when we encountered them, when we embraced them, nothing could stay the same, that our lives were transformed and changed. And it's important that we can name and highlight these things. One, because we may share them with others, but also it's something that we need to come back to a memory of for ourselves to continue to live from those game changers. And so as we start in week one, I was reminded of a powerful person in history from the 16th century by the name of Giordano Bruno, who was a monk in the 16th century who challenged the Catholic Church. He challenged the Catholic Church's view of the cosmos. Now, the old paradigm at that time was that the earth was the center of all, and the stars were fixed in their places, and the sun and all of the other planets revolved around the earth. And this was not only the prevailing scientific position, but this was then the prevailing position of the church, which was the Catholic Church. And it was believed that that was also supported by a biblical worldview. And so, although that was the the prevailing paradigm, there was another school of thought that was already happening out in the world. There was a brother by the name of Copernicus who brought forth the concept or idea of heliocentrism. And it's really not a concept, it's truth, right? That the sun is at the center. And Giordano Bruno was one who embraced this idea, this truth of heliocentrism, and took it a step further. Bruno expanded on this by not only positing that the sun was at the center, but that the universe itself was infinite. That each planet may have their own moons, and each star, like our sun, would have their own planets and their own moons and worlds orbiting them. And as far as we go to the farthest reaches of the known universe, that is simply an invisible wall, that once we go to the edge of the known universe, we're immediately going to become aware of something beyond that edge. There was no end to the universe, he says, just as there was no end to God. So remember, he was a monk, right? He's a spiritual dude, and he understood something powerful. It's like, if God is infinite and there is no end, how could there possibly be an end to the universe? Well, y'all know what happened to him, right? The Catholic Church censored him. He was stripped of his position as a monk, and later he was thrown in jail. And after that, unfortunately, he was burned at the stake along with most of his writings, his papers, and his books. Now, in the TV show released in 2014, Cosmos was where I was first introduced to this powerful human. And in the TV show, it dramatizes his experience. He was also a mystic, so it beautifully dramatizes his mystical experience of seeing beyond the known world and tapping into a meditative place and state to understand the truth of the cosmos and the truth of the universe. And it also dramatizes his conversation as he is being tried, right? And as he is ultimately excommunicated. And he says to the Catholic Church, "Your God is too small." Now, unfortunately, we don't know if he actually said that. We don't know if he actually wrote that. Again, most of his papers and books were burned. There are some artifacts and some writings that still remain. And so out of what exists, that phrase is not found. Right? But it was a beautiful way to dramatize the truth of his awareness. Your God is too small. Now, whether he actually said or wrote those words, it perfectly encapsulates the spirit of Giordano Bruno, his words and his work. And I was reminded of his words today as I thought about the first game changer that we're going to look at. What is your concept of God? Is God made in the image and likeness of humans? Does God act like humans? Does God get mad? Does God get disappointed? Does God's feelings get hurt? Does God seek vengeance? Does God take things away from one group and give it to people he likes or favors more? Does God punish? Does God reward? Does God test us, putting us in precarious and sometimes traumatic situations to see how we'll respond? Many of these questions actually reflect a widely held view of God. In fact, these questions point to many of the stories in the First Testament of the Bible, otherwise known as the Old Testament, right? These questions, I just started going through Bible stories, Bible stories that tell us or interpretations of Bible stories that tell us that God does test us and put us in precarious and sometimes traumatic situations, that God punishes and God rewards, that God seeks vengeance, that God acts like humans and is a very emotional being, that God gets mad, that God gets disappointed, that God's feelings get hurt, that God seeks vengeance, that God takes land and property and gold and all other possessions from one group of people and gives it to another group of people that are supposedly God's chosen, that God supposedly favors. And of course, this view, shaped by this interpretation of the First Testament, also shapes much of the Western world's view of God, much of the Western world's view of itself and the world around us. But God is none of these things. To anyone who would answer yes to those questions in the spirit of Giordano Bruno, I exclaim, your God is too small. God is not human. God does not have human characteristics. God's feelings cannot be hurt. God does not punish or reward. Now, embracing an expanded view of God is indeed a game changer. Nothing will ever be the same when you can know, as Bruno knew, that God is infinite, with us here and now, and far greater than the here and now. Something that Giordano Bruno did write, that we know he wrote. These words, truth does not change because it is or is not believed by a majority of people. So we're going to look at the truth. We're going to examine the truth about God. It matters not whether the majority believes it. It matters not whether it's the prevailing wisdom. But it's important that we embrace it because it is indeed a game changer. So let's take a look at some truth about God that some may or may not believe or accept, but we know to be true. And so as we're talking about our concept of God, it's kind of three game changers for one. First one, God is within. The second, God never plays favorites. And the third, your belief system is your God. And so let's start with the first game changer. God is within. Where is God? God is within. God is within and also all around you. God is there and God is here. In the Gospel of Thomas, the third saying in the Gospel of Thomas, I referred to this last month, but I didn't read the full text, and now is a wonderful time to do that. In the Gospel of Thomas, just so you know, if you've never heard of the Gospel of Thomas, it's a Gnostic text. It's one of those texts that was considered one of the lost books of the Bible that was discovered in the 1940s in the Nag Hammadi Library. And it aligns wonderfully with the canonized Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John because it starts to illuminate certain things. Now, unlike Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John, which give us a narrative and kind of tell a story about Jesus and Jesus's ministry, the Gospel of Thomas is just simply a series of sayings, right? So saying 3 reads like this. Jesus said, if those who lead you say to you, see, the kingdom is in the sky, then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, it is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is inside of you and it is outside of you. When you come to know yourselves, then you will become known, and you will realize that it is you who are the sons or children of the living Father. But if you will not know yourselves, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty. And so here, this teaching, this saying is inviting us to understand the silliness of thinking that God is in the sky or God is in the depths of the ocean, because if that is true, then the birds would precede us. And so that would mean that the birds are holier than us, if you will, right, for lack of a better term. Right? And we recognize that would be silly. At the same time, it's like, well, if God is in the depths and in the unknown, physically or metaphysically, then that means that those that are in the depths, in this case, the fish, would precede us. That they would be closer to the all that is than we are. And we could never be any closer because we can't get to where they can get to, just as we can't get to where the birds get to and experience it. But rather, the truth is omnipresence. The truth is God is here now and neither comes nor goes. The truth is God is within you and all around you. The kingdom is inside of you, as the text says, and outside of you. And then he goes on in the saying, when you come to know yourselves, then you will become known and you will realize that it is you that are the children of the living God. I'm paraphrasing that. But if you will not know yourselves, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty. Now, what is that statement talking about? Because it's not talking about having money or not having money. The idea of dwelling in poverty is to live in lack or not enough. And if you think that God is outside of you, it is akin to living in spiritual poverty. Right? And let's think about all of the things that come with that, right? Spiritual poverty. Well, now I have to be like Oliver Twist. Please, sir, can we have more? Right? That's how we then interact with God. And that's literally spiritual poverty. Begging, asking, beseeching, bartering, making deals with this thing. Okay, God, and I lived that life. I just knew, like, when any bad thing happened in my life, I started taking an inventory of all of my sins. I did some really terrible things. I get it. God is punishing me. Okay, let me get on the altar this Sunday and pray and cry and snot and get a special prayer and praise. And okay, now I'm washed clean and I feel better now. And I'll do better for about a week and then go back to doing whatever I was doing before. Right? That's living in spiritual poverty. And that's what he's saying. If you don't know yourself, if you don't know the reality that God is within, if you don't know that God is with you always, that means that you have access to God in whatever situation or circumstance you may be in consciousness or physically in your experience, that's living in spiritual poverty. And not only you dwell in that poverty, he says, and it is you who are that poverty. That's your identity. And unfortunately, out of ignorance, there are many people that proudly carry that identity. Proudly live in begging God. Proudly live in making deals with God. Proudly live in fearing God. That which is within you, why or how could you fear? You would be at war with yourself. And then I love how Neville Goddard so beautifully illustrates this. This is one of those game changers speaking to this idea of God is within. Neville Goddard always speaks of our spiritual imagination as the Christ within us and speaks of God as the I am. Now, as soon as you say I am, you can't point outside of yourself. If God is the I am that I am, living, moving, and having its being in, through, and as you, that's why when I say I am referring to this larger, greater, bigger part of me, not the soul clothing, right? Not this body that I'm currently inhabiting. But we recognize that we can never say I am and point outside of ourselves. We have a spiritual truth that God is the I am that I am. We have a spiritual truth about I am, but still dwell in poverty by pointing outside of ourselves. Where is God? God is within. Now, as we recognize this, we know that God is not in the sky, not in the sea, God is not out there, God is not over there. God is within and all around us. God is here now. God is omnipresence. In Lessons in Truth, Maya Angelou mentioned Lessons in Truth. In the video we watched, Emily Cady writes, broader and more learned minds are always cramped by the thought of God as a person, for personality limits to place and time. Think about that for a second. This is why it's important that we understand that God is an omnipresent spirit, a thing that becomes all things and is within us. It is not a person or personality, because persons and personalities by their very definition are limited. Right? This is why those that do not understand that then live by these faux spiritual truths of he may not come when you want him, but he's right on time. But what do we live by? God is right here, right now. And there's way more power in understanding that God is right here, right now versus God shows up at the last minute. Much more spiritual power in that. But here's the other truth, and Emily Cady goes into more detail about this after the piece that I just read. We also must understand, though, that God becomes personal through our individual use and understanding of God. This thing that we call God, understanding that it's within us, becomes God in me. Right? I think about the necessary work of Reverend Ike, right? That if you know Reverend Ike's work, if you know his prayers, and if you follow on Facebook, they're always posting snippets and affirmative prayers, right? Reverend Ike changed the world, right? The game changer was God in me, God in me. And that was radical to most people's ears. It still is. That's the personal use of the recognition of this power. So God becomes God in me, God with me, God my provider, God my shelter, God my friend, God my comforter, God my healer, God my protector. But we must never mistake the personal for the principle. Where is God? God is within. Now, the next game changer, and really my favorite, is God never plays favorites. There's an example that Ernest Holmes uses in The Science of Mind that is so simple, and I'm sure many of you have read it, but never really considered how profound it is. So I want to expand it a little bit and bring you in to what is behind the words that he wrote. Do you remember using paints as a kid, maybe in your art class in school, or even just, your parents might have bought you some watercolors or some paints? Do you remember learning that yellow and blue make green? I personally remember being fascinated by that when I first learned that. Do you remember learning that maybe red and blue make purple, and you started to learn the different ways red and white makes pink? Do you remember that? And I would love, just give me a yes, or give me a comment. If you just think back for a second, do you remember being a kid and learning to mix paints, learning to use paints, and learning how you could take two colors, yellow and blue, and they would make green? I actually think when I was a kid growing up, I think there was a commercial that had something about yellow and blue making green. But do we remember that? Again, all different types of combinations. Red and blue make purple or violet. Red and white make pink. We remember that. Let me ask you another question. Have you ever made any mistakes in your life? I know this seems like where's PG going? What are you talking about? What does this have to do with colors? Just take this little ride with me. Have you ever made any mistakes in your life? Have you ever done anything in your life that today you regret? Have you ever had to apologize to someone? Have you ever spoken unlovingly to someone or about someone? And if you didn't speak it, have you ever thought it? Now, I know each and every one of us can answer yes to those questions. One or more of those questions. We've all made mistakes. We've all done things that we weren't our best selves, that didn't align with our best selves, and we may have some regret. We've all had to apologize or seek forgiveness for something we may have said or done. We have all spoken unlovingly, spoken out of turn to someone or about someone. And if we didn't speak it, we thought it. This is an inevitable part of life. Some of these mistakes were bigger than others, but it's an inevitable part of life. So here's my next question for you. In the making of those mistakes, or after you made those mistakes, would you have been able to take yellow paint and blue paint and mix them together to create green paint? I want to say that again because I want to make sure you hear me. In the making of those mistakes, or after you made those mistakes, would you have been able to take yellow paint and blue paint, mix them together, and create green paint? Yes or no? With the principle that allows this thing to happen, for red and blue to make green, would this principle stop working for you because of the mistakes you made that you just acknowledged that all of us have made mistakes, large and small, things we regret, things we wish we had never said? Would the principle stop working? I hope y'all are taking this ride with me, and I hope y'all see where we're going. Because Ernest Holmes writes something, again, that's so deceptively simple that we don't break it all the way out. That's why I wanted to ask you these questions. Bring to your mind, remembering the truth that we all know. Yellow and blue make green. We've all had that experience. We also have all made mistakes. We also have all done things that we shouldn't have done or said things that we shouldn't have said. But we can recognize that those things would not stop or stop us from experiencing the miracle of yellow and blue make green. Ernest Holmes writes this: we are so used to the thought that if we mix certain colors, we get certain other colors, that we do not realize we are dealing with a principle. We know that whoever blends these particular colors will get the same result. We do not know why. The wisest man or person living does not know why. We do not have to stretch our credulity anymore in metaphysics. We think of metaphysics perhaps as something that only the most profound thinkers have known about, but we should remember that we are also thinkers. Universal principles are never respecters of persons. The universe has no favorites. And so when we talk about God, when we're dealing with God, we recognize that we're dealing with principle. And what this means then, when we understand that we're dealing with principle, and when we understand, just as we understand that the principle of mixing colors works for everyone equal all the time, no matter who you are, what you've done, or where you've been, we didn't need anybody to die on the cross and be resurrected for us to have access to this principle. Lord, have mercy. We didn't need anyone or anything to be in our stead, to stand in our place, to be our advocate at the right hand of the Father, negotiating for us. See, that's that same old idea that we talked about. If it's outside of us, then we need a lawyer in the cosmos, in the heavens. Oh, well, Greg really didn't mean to do it this time. He's actually a great human being. And, look at all of the other things that he's done. And I know he's made this mistake here, but maybe we can just, send him off with a warning. Or, he's willing to be on probation for several months or do some community service. But we won't have this problem with this young man again. When you understand that you're dealing with principle, you understand that you no longer need a lawyer or an advocate or some kind of negotiation or to make deals with God. But we're dealing with a principle that always works. There is no special club where its members receive the favor of God while others are left out and left behind. God does not bless some while cursing others. God does not move believers, air quotes, to the front of the line while they shrug in disbelief and just say, favor ain't fair. I do this all the time because I love the shrug emoji. I'm like, right. And that's the image I have in my mind. Like, favor ain't fair. I'm in the club. Sorry, you're not. Anytime and anywhere, if there's a lack of fairness, if there's an injustice, if there's inequality, if something is not equal, God ain't there. That's just a beautiful litmus test. We can know that. And then it's interesting to me, I specifically use that word believer because it's something that I see often on people's Facebook profiles. And I guess this is the cynical side of me, but I see folks that will put believer in their profile. And I chuckle. Because the truth is, and this really will take us to our third point, but the truth is that we're all believers. Right now, I know that people put believer in their profile to say that I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, that I'm a Christian, and I believe he died and rose again from the dead and saved me of my sin. That's what they're really saying. But the truth is, everybody is a believer. Some of us don't know what we believe in. Some of us are living by a belief system that is actually harming us, including most of the people that say they're believers, because they're also telling me I believe in a God that's in the sky. They're also telling me I believe in a guy with human characteristics whose feelings can get hurt. They're also telling me that they believe that God is outside of them. They also tell me that they believe in spiritual poverty. They also are telling me that they believe in making deals with God. But we know something different. God is not exclusive or exclusionary. God never plays in favorites. God is within. God never plays favorites. And the third point, your belief system is your God. Now, there's an interesting idea, and some of you may remember this. I actually encourage you to go back to the sermon if you want to delve a little bit deeper into it. I don't remember the year, but the sermon series, it's a Reimagine the Bible series on the book of Psalms. And the sermon was Welcome to the Neighborhood. And I kind of talk about the nature of God and from a really breaking down some of the scripture in the Psalms. One of the ideas that I shared there was to understand this word that we have in English, Yahweh. And of course, we know that Yahweh is a word that's used and refers to God. But the truth is, Yahweh is not a Hebrew word, right? Actually, Jews really believe that the name of God cannot be uttered. Right, it can't be uttered. And so it was reduced to symbols that would translate to the English letters of YHWH, which is known as the Tetragrammaton, right? I'm sure many of you have seen that. Many times you've seen Yahweh when it's spelled, the vowels are not there because it's like you can't utter the word. It reminds me of even in the Hindu tradition when we understand Aum or Om, which is considered the primordial sound of the universe, and all sounds are contained within it. And that's why by meditating Aum and that full roundedness of the sound and that vibration, you're actually essentially aligning with the all that is, all that was, all that is, and all that ever will be. And so the Tetragrammaton really taps into that same vibration. It's the same knowing, right? And this is why I love looking at spiritual traditions and finding the commonalities. And so when we look at the Tetragrammaton, or what's considered the true name for God, it may be derived from a verb that means to be, to exist, to cause to become, or to come to pass. And so what that means then is that when we understand and really think about and start to use the word God, what we should understand is that God is a verb. God is an active thing. It is not just a being, but it is action itself. It is alive. It is being. It is existing. It is causing to be. It is come to pass. It is making things come to pass, making things happen. And so God is always being and always becoming. It reminds me of that verse I refer to often in the Tao Te Ching. Again, ancient knowledge supporting us here in the present day. In the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu writes, endlessly creating, endlessly pulsating. The spirit of the valley never dies. She is called the hidden creator. And so this hidden creator is our belief system. All that we hold to be true about this thing that is being, that is becoming, about this verb, this thing that is endlessly pulsating, endlessly creating, this thing that cannot and will never die, but is simply giving of itself and expressing of itself in new and more powerful and dynamic and amazing ways, is our belief system. We're making use of it. Your belief system is your God, the sum total of what you believe to be true about yourself, about others, about life, about this world, about the cosmos, is your God. That's also why God is within. God can never become more than what we think and believe. This is why your God is too small is such a perfect retort to a group of people that couldn't see beyond their limited beliefs. This is then also why we should take that as a cautionary tale to be careful with who and what we are quick to condemn. Because it's quite possible that our God is too small. It's quite possible that someone is inviting us to have a new experience, to change our God and thus change our belief system. Because as Bruno says, truth does not change because it is or is not believed by the majority of people. But truth can be experienced by anyone who is ready, willing, and able to set down the old paradigm and to embrace the new. Truth is always knocking at our door, inviting us to come on up a little higher and take in the fresh point of view. The cost of not moving up is, as we read in the Gospel of Thomas, to live in poverty. Mental and spiritual poverty, lack and limitation of many kinds. The cost of not moving on up a little higher and taking on the fresh point of view will have you trying to make deals with God, when the only thing that's required is to change our point of view. God is always paying attention to what? To what we're paying attention to. Because it can be no other way. If it's not outside of us, it can only respond and act from what's within us. And it is that which acts and is acting. It is a verb. It is alive. It is life itself. We think about life itself. Life is always active. It is always moving. Even when in seasons like winter, life seems to be limited or stuck or frozen. We now know, that's why I love watching nature shows, right? We can see there's so much life. There's so much that's happening in that season that doesn't or can't happen in another season. The activity that is God is always expressing. And so then when we look to the cosmos, this is why we keep experiencing and becoming aware of more and more and more. And as we expand our view, it's wonderful. Then as humans, we get to create these telescopes, right? We reached the ceiling of the Hubble, and the Hubble expanded our worldview. And now we have the Webb telescope, which is expanding beyond the point of view of the Hubble. And all we are finding, just as Giordano Bruno saw in his own mind through this mystical experience that he had, this sort of ascension experience, he was like, you walk up to the wall, the edge of the universe, and that wall just disappears because there's more behind it. And that is absolutely what we are experiencing in this life. So as we continue to look at and think about game changers, I have an assignment for you this week. I want you to take these 3 questions and reflect on them. What are my game changers? What spiritual truths changed my life and my world? What spiritual truths opened my mind and there was no going back after that? You may have even tried to go back. I know at one point I did. There were things that opened my mind, but I was scared. It's like, Lord, I don't know. I might burn up. I still held that old paradigm. But ultimately, I couldn't, I say it all the time, I couldn't unsee what I had seen. I could no longer not know what I then knew. And I knew it was going to change my life. That was part of the fear. I wanted it to only change one corner of my life. Okay, well, we'll just embrace this and just be over here. See, some of us are still in the spiritual closet. I see you. I'm not calling you out, but I see you. And so you want to take these truths and just deal with it in one corner of your life. But the truth ain't true until it's the truth of your life, not the truth of a corner of your life. And I had to be willing to allow this truth to express in every area of my life, trusting that nothing but good could come from it. And so I invite you to take these reflection questions into your week as you reflect on this sermon, as you reflect on these ideas. For some of you, even these God changers today may be brand new, or they may just feel anew, right? You may have heard it anew. Can't tell you how many times I've read that piece of that Ernest Holmes writes about the colors. But when you start to pull it apart and you start to break it down and understand something that is so simple and true that we know there's no favoritism in the miracle of mixing two colors together and getting another, of making use of the spectrum of colors that none of us really understand how that works. We know it works, and even the depths of the how that human understanding has gotten to still doesn't tell us all. It's still a miracle. It is. It's absolutely miraculous. And that miracle is accessible to all, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, no matter the circumstances of your birth, no matter your size, no matter your age, no matter your physical condition. God itself is inclusive and is the God of inclusion. It can be no other way. Anything else is not God. And so I encourage you to take these questions, reflect on them this week as we prepare to move into next week, and we'll talk about another game changer. I'll have another exercise of some sort for you to take this a little deeper. But today, to this truth, we simply say amen, ashe, and so it is. So it is.
Ah, yes, yes. We have started the journey to remembering, to changing things that we thought we knew, to going deeper in what we thought we knew, to letting go of what we thought we knew. This is going to be a powerful series. I can tell by your comments that you feel it too.
Yes, yes.
Please take time this week to reflect on this. Come back to the sermon, come back to the message, because there's so much there. I feel sometimes it's in human nature that we can only grasp so much at one time. And so you need to come back. It's not because you're not intelligent or smart enough to get it. Right. It's just when it comes in and you want to be receptive, you don't always get it all. So you got to come back to it. You got to listen to it. You got to stop the recording.
Right. Yeah.
And you got to sit and digest and think about it.
Yeah.
We still do that when we come across something that changes something. You feel it in the instant. You're like, "Ooh, that was new."
Yeah.
We don't just keep going ahead, right? We sit, we pause, and we accept, and we integrate. So you have a whole week to sit with this message and these reflection questions that are game changers. What are your game changers? Did you even know you had some?
Yeah.
And if you haven't sat with it and figured out, well, what are the things that brought me to CSC or brought me to these teachings that I now take as my own? Those are game changers. Give yourself the time to write them down and to celebrate that in your mind things have changed.
Yeah.
And that they will continue to change the more you integrate, the more you pause, the more you allow, the more you release. Thank you, PG.
Oh, yes, yes. Thank you. Well, as you can see here on your screen and you've seen throughout the stream, it is very easy to give to CSC. You can go to our website, celebrationsc.org/give, or you can text your dollar amount to 347-744-9500. There's a $10 minimum for a text to give, but whichever method you choose, we encourage you to give what feels good. We encourage you to think about, take a moment, take a breath, and ask yourself, what is my joy number, right? What is my number that I can give without condition? What is my number that I can give and remember that all is well? What is my number that I can give and remember that I am actually giving from an eternal source of supply, right? Very, very, very important. That's what Give What Feels Good is all about, because that is how you experience the true blessing of giving, right? It's not just about the act of giving, because it would be like, oh, I can just plant any seed in the ground. You wanted tomatoes, but somebody gave me some cucumber seed. I can plant any seeds in the ground and something will come back. Well, that's true. The principle is you can plant any seed and something will come back. Absolutely true. But if you wanted tomatoes, you got to put tomato seeds in, right? You can't put cucumber seeds in. And so that's what the giving what feels good is about. That we're actually intentional about the seed is not the number. The seed is the vibration behind the giving. That's what Give What Feels Good is all about. And when you do that, then you can affirm these words. All the money that I use returns to me multiplied.
Returns to me multiplied.
In a never-ending cycle.
In a never-ending cycle.
Of increase. And enjoyment.
And enjoyment.
To that we say amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
And so it is.
I mentioned Reverend Ike earlier. Shout out to Reverend Ike because that affirmation comes from Reverend Ike. We understand the shoulders that we stand upon, and it's awesome when we the ways that we get to incorporate the truth that has come through our elders as we continue to move forward and continue to teach this powerful, life-transforming truth. Well, we are so grateful to have been here today with each and every one of you as we declared in the prayer that each of every one of us will leave here differently than when we walked in. I can affirm and attest that I feel different than when I walked in, that I feel better because I chose to be here today, and I trust that you do as well. We encourage you, of course, to share the stream with anyone. You can post it on your pages or share the link with anyone you think may be interested, and continue to let folks know about the good thing that is happening here online and here in Brooklyn. Have a really good day on purpose. Have an amazing week. We look forward to connecting on Wednesday morning in prayer, and then we will gather together next week for the weekend service. And my mind was thinking like next week is Mother's Day as well. So we look forward to joining with you all again. Bye for now.
Bye for now.